Hello and welcome to this edition of 101 with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. I'm Lorna Virgili and thank you for watching. Hello, Mr. Leggett, how are you?
Very well, how are you today?
Very well. Fall's here.
Yep.
Transitioning into winter, but we'll talk about that in a minute. With fall came the new increase in the minimum wage in Montgomery County to $8.40. You participated along with other community leaders in a rally at the National Labor College in Silver Spring, kind of to celebrate and welcome that development in the county. Any feedback from people that earn the minimum wage, from employers in the county?
I think if you survey people generally across the board, there's an overwhelming support that we need to change the minimum wage. And what we're doing in Montgomery County is changing the minimum wage. We're changing it slightly higher than the rest of the state, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, and the District of Columbia. But it will happen over 4 years to eventually get to $11.50. When you think about that, on one hand, it sounds relatively small in 4 years, but there are some questions and concerns that people have about whether or not even getting to that point is too fast. We tried to be sensitive to some of our businesses to make certain that we appropriated, that we looked at the legislation and we went through the appropriate steps to get us to the point that we're at today. And I think it's a good compromise because the original legislation was 3 years. It's now moved to 4 years. This will help large numbers of working men and women to make certain they have food on the table, to pay rent, to buy groceries, to do a number of things that they cannot now do. I think it's good for those workers, it's good for Montgomery County, and I think ultimately it will be good for businesses as well because they will be able to maintain workers longer because people have some incentives to stay, reduce turnover. You get more dedicated workers, and those workers go back and plow much of what they've earned back into the local economy. So we are moving forward as effective in October of this year, 2014, and we will go forward over the next 4 years to eventually get to $11.50 per hour.
The Office of Human Rights, kind of like the day after the law came into effect in Montgomery County, they held a meeting, a workshop of sorts. It had legislative updates as far as employment laws, local, state, and federal. And one of the things that they came out talking about was mostly complaints from people that perhaps are not getting the minimum wage, from business owners who are smaller business owners and they're not transitioning into that. What is the procedure for those people to file complaints and make sure that everybody's earning the minimum wage?
Well, effective October 1, it is the law, and we expect people to follow the law. Now, the first day or the first week, you may have some people who simply, because they are small, not aware that the law has changed or forgot the effective date of the change, you can see some transition. But that's something that should really be eliminated and reduced very, very quickly. You have to meet the minimum wages in Montgomery County for all those affected businesses. If a person believes that they are not receiving the appropriate wage, then they simply file a complaint with the Human Rights Office in Montgomery County. They will do an investigation to make certain that the person who is not allegedly not providing it, in fact, do so, and we'll continue the investigation accordingly.
Let's transition to economic development, especially the east part of the county. The White Oak FDA, Salvation FDA, you were there for the ribbon cutting
Yeah.
ceremony of the new $300 million biodefense campus. They call it a campus. Obviously, that's a big staple for what's coming for that part of the county. Talk about a little bit what it does represent and the fact that it is officially open.
Well, first of all, let me thank GSA, FDA, certainly thank our congressional delegation, including Congressman Van Hollen and Delaney and all of those who are responsible to help get it there. A great deal of credit goes to former Senators Sarbanes, Mikulski, and of course Cardin. All worked together with GSA over the years to get us to where we are today. And also former Congressman Al Wynn, who's no longer in Congress. All of those people worked diligently to ensure that we get to the point that we are today. This represents a huge, huge impact to the eastern part of the county, an economic impact that I think will be felt long and wide It brings over about 10,000 jobs. It may go even higher because there are several other components of the FDA that ultimately may eventually end up on that campus. It helps in the neighboring communities. We have a large development with the Picante project, the so-called White Oak master plan that we have there, the Gateway plan in the White Oak area. That will help with Adventist Hospital that will be located adjacent to there too. So we're not through. This is just an anchor on a number of other institutions that we hope to have on that campus, for some private businesses development that will occur, as well as housing, all in that area. But you could not do that without the strong presence of FDA. That's the anchor for the area, and we hope to build in and around there to make certain that we take full advantage of this wonderful opportunity that we have here in Montgomery County.
Talked about housing and businesses, and of course the FDA entertainment as well.
Yes. Well, what you will get with enhanced housing, a greater variety of housing, because now one of the biggest complaints in the area is, of course, that we do not have as much variety of housing, a disproportionate amount of housing that is high-rise buildings, accessory apartments, those kinds of things. What we want to have is a greater variety and a higher mix of housing in that area. And I think you get there when you have an anchor such as the FDA. So with the housing will come a need for restaurants, other amenities, and maybe theaters and other things that will come in that area as well. And it's something that's desperately needed, because right now what you have in the east part of the county, you have very few jobs comparatively, and you have a disproportionate amount of housing that impacts the school system, the traffic. What we need now are more workers, more jobs in that area.
Let's talk about an ongoing scam. You were at a Safeway supermarket recently, because there's a trend of what is called an IRS scam. People get telephone calls. It's been happening here in Montgomery County as well, and in the region. And how are we warning people not to listen to these folks on the other side of the telephone line who basically are asking them for money to scam them?
Well, first of all, let me thank the IRS, our local police, and clearly the people at Safeway who recognize an ongoing investigation utilizing this scam. It is a scam, unfortunately, that has been fairly effective. I guess when the IRS calls, people are a little bit alarmed and put back by the fact that the IRS will call. But the IRS will not call you unless you first received a letter, unless you first had an opportunity to contact them. There's an awful lot of things you need to be aware of, and we will provide that information for people so that they will not be victims of this scam. The IRS will not call you. The first contact with the IRS will not be via telephone. So that should tell you right off the bat that there is a scam.
So if people get contacted, the best bet is to call the Office of Consumer Protection.
That's correct.
In Montgomery County.
That's correct.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. Stay tuned.
There's a reason why area law enforcement are out enforcing pedestrian and traffic safety laws and preventing killer pedestrian crashes. Be alert. Be street smart.
Are you sure they can recycle us, Clamshell?
Hey, Dome, we're on a new recycling postcard.
I can't wait to make a new start. Maybe I'll be a red carpet at a big premiere.
And I'll get to paint the White House.
Shh, here he comes.
Now you can recycle more plastics in Montgomery County, including #1 PET plastics such as clamshells, deli containers, trays, lids, domes, and cups.
We're in!
For more information on recycling, contact the Montgomery County, Maryland Division of Solid Waste Services at 311. The wait is over. Recycle more plastics today.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Welcome back to 101 with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. I'm Lorna Virgili. Thank you for watching. We're talking, before we went to the commercial break, about the IRS scam. How does it work? Because it sounds like it can be complex, but it appears to be very simple.
It is very simple. Someone will call you, inform you, for example, that there's some tax revenue that you owe to the IRS, that your property will be confiscated, that the sheriff or the police will come to arrest you unless you make immediate payment. To avoid that, you need to make that payment via the telephone. They will assist you in that endeavor and tell you to go to whatever bank-in or outlet that you may have in order to wire monies to them. The thing that is so compelling here is that they normally maintain phone contact from the first time that they call right through to the time that you actually go to the bank. They will not allow you to get off the telephone. And so they will walk you through all the instructions, what you need to do. So there's some psychological intimidation engaged with this. And when you think about it, again, people are unfortunately somewhat fearful of the IRS. So when you get something that says IRS and you believe that you have to act immediately, and you're not quite informed about all of the measures that IRS goes to avoid that, then you become a victim. And so in one case here at the Safeway, the teller caught a person who was engaged in a scam on the telephone while they were trying to get money from Safeway. Unfortunately, they had already sent $3,000, was about to wire another $4,000. So this is not something that is cheap. This is quite a bit of money that's involved. Simply call the Office of Consumer Protection, call the IRS, or call the police whenever you get someone who's calling you, claiming to be the IRS, and are asking you for money and for you to wire it.
Hang up too.
That's right, hang up.
Hang up is the first step. Let's talk about this memorandum you recently sent to County Council, where basically you stated that Montgomery County will no longer comply with ICE detainee requests, except for those requests that have adequate support for a finding of probable cause under the Fourth Amendment. This has to do with secure communities. What does this translate into?
Well, first of all, the operative word here is request. The ICE is requesting you to forward the names of individuals who you've detained for ICE warrants. Unfortunately, that's not the law. There's no legal basis for ICE to ask that. It's simply a request. And so the policy, as of now, is that we will not honor the ICE, quote, request unless the person that we've detained in our correction system is in fact there and there's probable cause for some other underlying crime. And so that will be the approach that we will take in Montgomery County. We no longer will honor ICE requests unless it is followed by a thorough review of probable cause under the Fourth Amendment.
So what it means if somebody who has an order of deportation stopped for a traffic violation would not be detained, which
No.
still was procedure already in the county, was it not?
Yes, but you have other people in other categories that may be retained and detained, and if those people are therefore turned over to ICE, they can in fact ultimately be deported based on the warrant for failure to maybe follow through on a hearing or what have you. Those people will not in effect be picked up by ICE, and Montgomery County will no longer participate in that. Now, if you're there on probable cause, If there are some other bases in which to do so under the Fourth Amendment, then yes, that's a different question. But we want to avoid not doing something that is consistent with the law. And the practice that have been followed before brings into question some very serious legal questions about the legality of what ICE and others was asking the local communities to do. So we would no longer follow that.
Do you have a ballpark number of how many people Montgomery County has detained awaiting for ICE?
I don't have at this point in time, but I know that we've had a considerable number in the past, but that number had been reduced based on Montgomery County's on practice prior to this time. But it will affect some of the people that ultimately will be picked up by Montgomery County authorities.
And are other jurisdictions like Prince George's County and Baltimore are following suit?
That's
kind
correct.
of imitating the same thing as Montgomery County?
That's correct.
Okay. Let's talk about schools. International Walk to School Day. It was recently celebrated at Rolling
Terrace.
Rolling Terrace Elementary School in Tacoma Park. I just had a senior moment there. And that's one of the largest schools, elementary schools in the county, and about 500 children do walk to school on a daily basis, which is pretty overwhelming. And we go through pedestrian safety every month and the importance of it. Tell us a little bit about that event, and then we'll follow up with pedestrian safety.
Well, first of all, on that senior moment, I hope that your son, when you're living in his basement, will take pity on you.
I'll take care of that. I'll give you the right medication.
Well, first of all, it's the International Walk Day, something that is celebrated throughout Montgomery County, celebrated because we want to make certain that we have safe pedestrian walk paths for kids to go to school. In addition to walking, there are a number of kids that bicycle. There are a number of kids who have the rollers that they utilize as well. In order to have kids walk to school, we need to make certain that we have sidewalks in appropriate communities, that we have the appropriate warning signs, that we regulate traffic accordingly so that kids are not needlessly exposed to potential traffic challenges. And so what we do is to work with our local police, work with our school administrators, all of us working in conjunction to make certain that kids feel safe to walk to school, and encourage that because it reduces traffic, it certainly enhances our environment, and more importantly, it gives the kids this sense of exercise and belonging that they can do something independently on their own, and we want to make it safe for them to do so.
And when they're younger, one of the issues is traffic, obviously, and crossing the streets. But we're going to talk about that when we come back, and we'll talk about YOLO. You only live once.
Yeah.
That's another campaign. We'll be right back with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. Stay tuned.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Did you know there are more than 10,000 county government phone numbers? But there's only one number you need to remember for non-emergency calls, 311. MC311 is Montgomery County government's online telephone information system. Need information? Have a problem or complaint? Trying to locate a county government facility? Call 311. The call center is open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The website is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Hey, mister, down here. You illegally passed the stop school bus. I'm placing you in timeout. And this timeout means big fines, plus you really could have hurt somebody. That's why school buses are being equipped with video cameras to help kids like me stay safe. So respect the bus.
Welcome back, and thank you for watching 101 with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. I'm Lorna Virgili. We were talking about pedestrian safety and International Walk to School Day. Also, you launched a new campaign geared more to teenagers crossing the streets. They're distracted these days, more so than in the past, because, you know, we have smartphones, they're texting, they're listening to music. And this YOLO, You Only Live Once campaign, what is it geared to accomplish?
Well, it's geared to accomplish a number of things. The primary objective, of course, is reduce the impact of people, young people, coming into contact with automobiles. That unfortunately, we've had too many incidents, and at least one death, one of our schools in Montgomery County, where a young person was not as vigilant, did not notice the oncoming traffic, and of course was killed. We need to make certain that drivers are alert, first of all, and young people really protect themselves. You look both ways before you cross. You don't get so engaged in listening to your music or reading something or doing something that distracts you. This is a very serious matter when you're out engaged in the traffic. And so You Only Live Once, YOLA, is a program designed to bring awareness and attention to the challenges of young people associated with pedestrian traffic and the difficult challenges they face with automobiles and traffic and vehicles out on the street. It's a serious, serious matter because young people are so independent. They believe they're invincible. It's hard for them to get the kind of appropriate attention toward the traffic when they are so engaged in so many other things. And of course, many of them believe that they can multitask. That very well may be true, but why risk that when you're out there dealing with traffic? Because you only make a mistake one time, and it could be a deadly one. And
to add to that, the program of the video cameras on the school buses which was implemented earlier this year, have captured more than 700 violations. Are there going to be more cameras installed on school buses, since this seems to be quite a problem where drivers simply forget to stop when they see a stopped school bus?
I mean, this is startling to me to have so many people, a big yellow bus, flashing lights, as much information we've put out there in the past, obey the law, stop, recognizing that you're dealing with our precious kids out on the streets, that you're not going to follow a simple law that tells you that you need to stop and obey the law. I'm just startled. And we've advertised repeatedly that we have cameras. We've stated that this is against the law, and you know the potential deadly consequences, and people continue to do it. This is one of the most startling things that I've come across. We have to be vigilant. We have to make certain that we prosecute people. We have to make certain we give those fines out. We need to make certain that we continue this effort, to educate, but more importantly, to enforce the law, because people simply, at least far too many of them, have not gotten this message as of now.
And that ticket is $125 if you're captured by the video camera.
That's right.
But if a police officer sees you, it's $740.
That's correct.
That's a lot of money. Okay.
But keep in mind what the risks are.
A life.
That's right.
Yes. Flu season, it's around the corner. And of course, as every year, the county health officials ask the residents to get the flu vaccine. This year we have an item that it's kind of out there, which is a Ebola virus. And how are the local hospitals, number one, prepared, and two, the coordination between local health and state health and federal health officials?
First of all, let me encourage everyone to get the flu shot, especially our seniors and those who are somewhat vulnerable in terms of their health. It's a process that we go through each year, and sometimes people don't heed that warning to get a flu shot until it's too late. And so we can reduce the incidence of flu within our community by making certain that we have the flu shot and we're protected. Unfortunately, we have something else that's out there, and that's Ebola. And of course, we have large numbers of people literally from all over the world, some of whom are from West Africa, and then unfortunately, there have been over-exaggerated scare tactics or scaring of people based on that fact. We want to make certain that we get the right information out there, that Ebola is not something that is easily transmitted. It's very difficult. That the public officials here in Montgomery County and throughout the region are prepared to take the appropriate steps if there are questions or challenges related to incidents of people who feel that they may have come in contact with someone with Ebola or show the signs. That person through our hospitals are certainly isolated. We have what I believe are appropriate procedures in place for notifying all of the people who that person may have come in contact with, to be in touch with them so that we can continue to unfold that isolation and to ensure that the people who may be affected are not in fact affected. But again, this is a very, very low potential in our region and this country as a whole. But we're not going to take any necessary measures off the table that we should not prepare to look at. But we want to make certain that people get the right information. They can call our health office to do so. We're well prepared. This is something that can be contained if it happens. But the likelihood that it happened in the United States and in this region is highly, highly unlikely.
And and on time for the flu season, Holy Cross Hospital opened a new facility, a new hospital. Up County, the first hospital opened in Montgomery County in the last 35 years or so.
That's right, the new Holy Cross Germantown Hospital. Keep in mind that this is the first one in 35 years. When you look at the population of Germantown, 35 years ago it was only about 9,000 people in all of Germantown. We are well over about 80,000 people, 90,000 people in that immediate vicinity adjacent to the hospital right now. We've had growth in the population. There are tremendous needs that are out there. Holy Cross is a wonderful institution in the county, large numbers of employees, and I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to that area to provide the services up there that people really want and deserve. So check it out. The new Germantown Hospital, Holy Cross, is now open for business.
Hey, check it out. Hopefully not an
emergency.
That's right. And or maternity.
That's right. Well, that may be a good thing.
That might be more fun.
Yeah.
The other thing, just to wrap up, we just have a few seconds left. Winter is coming. Are we ready? Hopefully we will not get bombarded with snow, but are we ready?
Yes, I believe we are ready, and I take this very seriously. We have the material, the personnel trained, the technology, and I believe if we are impacted by heavy winter storms, that the Montgomery County will rise to the occasion.
All righty, let's hope so.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Leggett.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you again next month.
All right.
For you watching, remember, any information about the county, do visit our website, montgomerycountynd.gov. I'm Lorna Virgili, and thank you for watching.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Home fires occur most often in winter. Keep anything that can catch fire at least 3 feet from heating equipment. And never use an oven to heat your home. Stay in the kitchen when frying, grilling, or broiling food. Turn space heaters off when you leave the room or go to bed. Make sure all vents are clear of snow and ice to allow carbon monoxide to vent outside. Have your furnace, heating system, and chimneys serviced each year by a qualified professional. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
Ever pull into a parking lot and think, what's up with those pedestrians? Sometimes they seem so oblivious to vehicles. Park, start walking to the store, and wow, those drivers are so aggressive. They act like the lot is theirs. It's no wonder that nearly 1/3 of pedestrian collisions occur in parking lots, and a significant number cause severe injuries. Avoid becoming a statistic. Drivers, don't run over people. Pedestrians, don't get run over. It's that simple. Heads up in parking lots.